Hi, folks. We're here at Coldwater Hospital Emergency Room today. And what day is it? It's
Day two.
day two. So it's Tuesday. And what we are, and Jamin is, has received an evaluation uh, from Pine, or I'm sorry, from Community Mental Health, as it were. And that now qualifies him for admission after an episode yesterday morning. He was released from the jail. Not the charges were dropped, and we picked him up and brought him immediately here upon from instruction of community mental health.
Now,
Apparently, there's
can you explain why the charges were dropped?
well, the charges were dropped. I'm not really sure why the charges were
Well,
dropped because
in
we
the
didn't
past,
speak with them.
we didn't
In
speak
the
with the
past, the
judge.
charges have been dropped because Jamin is not fit to stand trial. He's not competent to stand trial. And this has been established enough times that the prosecutor doesn't even touch it, even though there were 4 felonies involving injury to police officers. So that's pretty.
And that's because he functions at about
And
three.
that's because he functions at about 3 to 4, especially when he's angry. He's a 200-pound person having a temper tantrum. So
And they've determined that
yeah,
jail is not a consequence that he can learn from,
right.
and it will do no good. He doesn't understand that if he were to do it again, that's not a consequence.
Right. So
So
in
there we go.
that, so yes, thank you, honey. So in that regard, he is vulnerable, and it can through that vulnerability can put other people at risk. So it's been my responsibility, knowing that, to ensure that protection. And when he is in group homes, that's their responsibility. And
And they're supposed to be trained to handle that.
yeah, and they are supposed to be trained to handle that. Unfortunately, we just don't find that around this area. But at any rate, now we are,
We're in a
everything
waiting.
is in place and we're on a waiting list. And we have no idea how long that can be. We've seen anything from days to months for juveniles, for young, for children. So
But he's an adult.
he's an adult, so we have no idea, but we are here for. Jamin has had a good attitude since really
Yesterday.
since yesterday, grasping all this, and he's ready for the challenges. And that's not to say that there won't be any episodes, but we've reassured him that we are now in a place where there are people that can help him, keep him safe, and handle it with as minimum trauma as to anyone as possible. And so that's really the goal, to be in an environment that enables him and everyone else to be safe, and try to nurture him through this. And hopefully he has matured to this point, and we're hoping that he can just take it the last distance to be completely safe all the time.
Yeah, and somebody had mentioned that in a comment earlier, and we can address all that later. That, oh, there's places that can take him, and if that were the case, not
Yeah.
just statewide but countrywide, then lots and lots of special needs adults would not be in the same position that
Right.
we are, that Jamin is in. All of these families are in, where
Well,
there's
people,
just not the facilities for the serious behavior homes and institutions that there need to be. And that's what we're waiting for, and that's
right,
why he has in the past been placed in homes and in facilities that just simply weren't able to handle the behaviors. So this
people
time
don't seem
around,
to realize how intensive these behaviors are,
unsafe.
and unsafe, and lives are endangered when you're in a vehicle. Uh, for instance, yesterday's incident, Jamin, or the day before, Jamin, when Jamin was arrested, the officers entered his room to talk to him, and he threw objects at the officers, and he made contact. And once that happens, they have to follow their protocol, regardless of whatever that situation is. So, in it took them 15 minutes to put handcuffs on Jamin, 2 officers, and they were administering first aid to each other, to their injuries, to their scratches and cuts, after they finally got him in the vehicle. and then we went over to the sheriff's office. A few hours later,
About an hour and a half.
an hour and a half later, and only to discover that Jamin was in a restraint chair there and needed to be. So, this is not something one person can or should handle. It's a disservice to everyone, and really puts the caregiver, which I'm not. I'm on disability. I'm on federal disability, and it should be against the law for me to take care of him
It is.
for 16 hours a day
It is, actually,
while
it
he's not
is.
sleeping.
It actually is against the law.
Yeah. And so we've actually even made that complaint to Adult Protective Services, and because so anyway,
We'll make
that's-
another
but,
video
yeah,
on that. But
on that later. But
if there were enough treatment facilities, whether it's private pay or state funded, then these situations wouldn't handle. Police wouldn't need to be coming out to handle mental health issues instead of crime issues. And many of the officers that we talk to in several different counties say that this is not just Jamin. This is more than 50% of the calls that they get are mental health calls, where individuals should be in the right treatment facilities. And it's not a matter of the family members taking care of those people. It is a matter of that person being in the right facility who needs a team of trained people to take care of them. So
right,
that's where we're
and
at right now.
obviously the state is lacking in resources and funding for staff, for trained professional staff for these types of situations. And one thing to consider, I know, and this is controversial, but the country is absorbing millions of illegal aliens, and those are a strain on our tax dollar if they're here illegally, especially, and they're being absorbed into the system. And the DHS is absorbing them into the system, and they're finding homes for these people.
We are aware of one placement that Jamin was eligible for, that an illegal that they placed into his slot.
So imagine the
we're
frustration
only
of a
saying
lifelong
this-
taxpayer who's trying to now retire on disability and can't, and my retirement, anything that I put together, is being absorbed because of the diversion of state resources
right, and so
elsewhere.
regardless of the opinion on all of the political side of this and everything, and
It's happening.
people coming
So
into the country,
regardless
regardless
of
of all
political-
that, this was the one instant where it affected us, and we saw it firsthand, personally. So yeah,
Yeah.
and we'll make another video here in a few minutes about some of his meds and how that went at the jailhouse,
Yeah.
and if there's any advice there. So
Right,
hop on
thanks.
the next video. Thanks.